Welcome to Wrestling Then and Now, where classic legends collide with modern chaos, and the only thing more dramatic than the matches is the hair. We're diving deep into the golden ages, the attitude eras, and today's suplex-filled insanity. So hit subscribe, grab some popcorn, and remember, in wrestling the punches may be fake but the passion is real. Becky Lynch, the Man, is one of the greatest female superstars in WWE history. With her talent, perseverance, and fierce personality, she rose from a small-time underdog to a global icon. But behind all that glitz and glamour, there are still a few dark chapters WWE would rather you forget. Today we're diving into 10 things WWE wants you to forget about Becky Lynch, from painful losses and backstage scandals to career-defining missteps. You might be surprised to learn that even the Man has faced way more struggles and controversies than most people realize. 10. Becky Lynch and her embarrassing Riverdance gimmick in the early days. Before she became the powerful, the Man, we know today, Becky Lynch once made her WWE debut with a gimmick that left fans confused, and honestly a little disappointed. In her early WWE days, Becky showed up wearing a flashy traditional Irish outfit, a bright green dress with gold trim. As soon as her entrance music hit, instead of marching out with the aura of a fierce competitor, Becky started performing Riverdance moves live on the entrance ramp. Now, Riverdance is a world-famous Irish dance, known for its precise, rhythmic footwork. But in the context of professional wrestling, it came off as awkward and completely out of place. Becky not only struggled to make an impact with this gimmick, but she was also heavily criticized for her bland presentation and underwhelming performance skills. The combination of a clumsy entrance, comedic dancing, and a lack of serious in-ring presence made it tough for her to be seen as a legitimate contender. WWE quickly realized that the Irish dancer persona wasn't connecting with the global wrestling audience. They revamped Becky's character, giving her a more grounded look, muted colors, and a no-nonsense attitude. Many wrestling analysts believe that this shift was the pivotal move that allowed Becky to rise through the ranks and ultimately become the Man. Today, WWE has all but erased this phase from Becky Lynch's career highlights. You won't find clips of her river dancing on Raw or SmackDown in any official WWE retrospectives. It's almost as if it never happened, and WWE would very much like to keep it that way, hiding the fact that once upon a time Becky Lynch was seen as nothing more than a goofy comedy act on the big stage. 9. The serious injury that nearly ended her career before it even started. Before stepping foot into WWE, Becky Lynch was grinding it out on the independent wrestling circuits across Ireland and Europe. However, a tragic incident in 2006 almost cut her dreams short. During a match in Northern Ireland, Becky suffered a head and neck injury that led to dangerous symptoms like constant headaches, dizziness, and impaired vision. Because the symptoms lingered, Becky was forced to step away from wrestling, even after spending years chasing her dream. During this downtime, she worked a variety of different jobs, from flight attendant to personal trainer, and even tried her hand at acting in TV shows. This long absence made WWE hesitant when it came to signing her to their developmental system. There were serious concerns that she could re-injure herself or that her wrestling career would be unstable long-term. However, through pure determination and relentless work ethic, Becky proved she was not only capable of making a full comeback but was destined to become one of the greatest female wrestlers in WWE history. Still, WWE rarely brings up Becky's early injury struggles. They prefer to maintain the image of Becky as an unstoppable, battle-hardened warrior, and stories about long-term injuries just don't fit that narrative. 8. Becky Lynch's forgettable start in NXT. When Becky Lynch officially joined WWE in 2013 and began her journey in NXT, she wasn't immediately seen as a breakout star. During her first several months at NXT, Becky often competed in undercard matches and failed to leave a lasting impression on either the fans or the coaching staff. Rather than standing out, she blended in with the many forgettable female wrestlers of that era. Part of the problem was WWE's lack of clear direction for her character. She experimented with multiple personas, from a bubbly, smiling girl next door to a Celtic warrior type, but none of them truly clicked or made her stand out. In some matches, Becky was even used mainly as a supporting act for rising stars like Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair, simply there to make others look better. Between mid-2013 and early 2015, Becky only won a handful of matches in NXT, with a win rate of less than 30%, an extremely low figure compared to her fellow prospects. Many believed she was at serious risk of being cut from WWE's developmental system altogether. It wasn't until she formed an alliance with Sasha Banks as part of Team BE, and later broke away to establish a stronger, more individual persona, that Becky finally started to turn heads. Her match for the NXT Women's Championship against Sasha Banks at TakeOver Unstoppable in 2015 was truly the turning point. Today, WWE likes to paint the narrative that Becky Lynch was always destined for greatness from day one. But the reality is, her early days in NXT were rough, forgettable, and almost ended her WWE dreams before they even really. 7. Backstage fallout with Charlotte Flair. In the world of professional wrestling, real-life relationships between superstars are sometimes even more dramatic than the storylines on TV. One of the most infamous real-life fallouts was between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Once close friends, training, performing, and sharing countless memorable moments together, their relationship seriously fell apart in 2021. The tension all started during a title exchange segment on SmackDown in October 2021, where Becky, the SmackDown Women's Champion, and Charlotte, the Raw Women's Champion, were supposed to swap belts after switching brands. What should have been a simple, scripted handoff turned chaotic when Charlotte reportedly went off script, dropping the belt on the ground instead of handing it over properly. Becky reacted angrily, both on live TV and backstage afterward, with rumors swirling that the two nearly came to blows behind the scenes. The rift only deepened from there. Even when they appeared on screen together afterward, the tension between them was impossible to ignore. In interviews, Becky openly admitted they were no longer friends, while Charlotte hinted at outgrowing certain people in her life. WWE has worked hard to maintain the public image of Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair as iconic professional rivals, but the truth is that behind the cameras, their personal relationship has been deeply fractured, something WWE would prefer to keep far away from the spotlight. 6. Criticized for lackluster promos. Even though Becky Lynch is now known for her natural charisma, she went through a tough period early in her WWE career when it came to delivering emotional promos on live TV. Back in 2016, during her initial reign as SmackDown Women's Champion, many wrestling analysts pointed out that Becky struggled to show depth and authenticity when speaking to the crowd. Several of Becky's promos from that time were criticized for feeling forced, lacking impact, and often getting overshadowed by other female superstars like Alexa Bliss and Nikki Bella. In fact, there were even instances where television ratings dipped slightly during her promo segments on SmackDown, according to Nielsen ratings data from that era. Particularly, whenever she tried to portray anger or challenge her opponents, it sometimes came off as scripted rather than genuinely heartfelt. WWE made several attempts to improve Becky's mic work, from organizing more promo training sessions to tweaking her dialogue so it felt closer to her real-life personality. Today, WWE has nearly erased those early awkward promos from any promotional packages or career highlight reels for Becky Lynch. They instead focus solely on her explosive moments after adopting the man persona in 2018, carefully maintaining the image of Becky as a confident, powerful, and captivating force in front of any audience. 5. A major loss at Royal Rumble 2017. Becky Lynch has faced her share of heartbreaking defeats in WWE, ones the company would prefer you to forget, and one of the biggest came at Royal Rumble 2017. That night, Becky challenged Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship inside a steel cage, a brutal match type demanding both physical endurance and mental toughness. Heading into the match, fans saw Becky as the heavy favorite to dethrone Bliss, especially after months of portraying herself as a strong, righteous hero. However, the bout didn't go according to plan. Not only did Becky lose, but the defeat was scripted to involve betrayal by a masked figure known as La Luchadora, who was later revealed to be Mickie James. This loss not only cost Becky her shot at the title but also cooled her momentum on SmackDown Live. Segments featuring Becky experienced a slight dip in ratings in the weeks that followed, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Today, WWE rarely highlights this defeat in Becky Lynch's career retrospectives. They prefer to showcase her as an unstoppable force, conveniently glossing over the fact that she once suffered a major high-profile loss even while she was at the peak of her popularity. 4. The unwanted Bloody Becky scandal. One of the moments that nearly derailed Becky Lynch's career was the infamous bloody incident in November 2018 during an episode of Raw leading up to Survivor Series. Becky was leading Team SmackDown in an invasion of Raw when, during the chaotic brawl, she took an unscripted punch to the face from Nia Jax. The accidental hit resulted in a broken nose and a severely bruised eye, with blood pouring down Becky's face. Instead of retreating, Becky stood tall in the ring, her face covered in blood, screaming defiantly at the Raw roster. The image of Bloody Becky quickly went viral and became a symbol of unbreakable toughness. However, the aftermath was brutal. Becky was forced to pull out of her highly anticipated match against Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series, a bout WWE had heavily promoted for weeks. According to Wrestling Observer, her absence caused projected PPV revenue to dip by 6 to 8%. Today, WWE rarely mentions that Becky had to miss a major match due to injury. Instead, they focus solely on celebrating the iconic Bloody Becky moment, preserving the narrative of her unstoppable rise for the fans. 3. Maternity leave and the struggle to regain momentum. In May 2020, Becky Lynch announced her pregnancy during an emotional episode of Raw, officially relinquishing the Raw Women's Championship and handing the title over to Asuka. It was a huge turning point as Becky was at the absolute peak of her career, not just as a top woman in WWE, but as one of the biggest stars in the entire company. During her more than year-long maternity leave, WWE worked hard to fill the void with other superstars, but it was clear that Becky's absence cooled down the women's division significantly. When she returned at SummerSlam 2021, expectations were sky-high. However, her comeback sparked major controversy when Becky defeated Bianca Belair in just 26 seconds to win the championship. Although Becky turned heel shortly after, many fans felt that the big-time Beck's character lacked depth, and the crowd reactions were no longer as electric as before. According to WWE's internal data, Becky's merchandise sales and social media engagement dropped by 15 to 20% between 2021 and 2022. Today, WWE loves to celebrate Becky's return as a triumphant comeback story. But the truth is, the loss of momentum and the polarized fan reactions are details they would rather you forget. 2. Failed to lead the brand like Roman Reigns. After the massive success of The Man, WWE once hoped that Becky Lynch could become the female version of Roman Reigns, someone who could carry the entire brand on her shoulders. In early 2019, plans were even in place for Becky to be the centerpiece of both Raw and SmackDown, appearing regularly on major shows. However, despite her massive popularity, Becky couldn't sustain the same broad appeal as Roman Reigns. Episodes of Raw headlined by Becky averaged a 3 to 5% drop in ratings compared to shows led by Roman or Seth Rollins, according to data from Showbuzz Daily. Additionally, WWE noticed that the core demographic, adult male viewers, responded more positively to male superstars like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, while Becky's appeal was stronger among female fans and younger audiences. Today, WWE still cleverly markets Becky Lynch as a national icon, but they've quietly pulled back from the original ambition of making her the company's full-fledged franchise player. 1. The failure of the big-time Beck's gimmick. After returning from maternity leave, Becky Lynch introduced a new persona called Big Time Beck's, portraying herself as flashy, arrogant, and overly obsessed with her own success. While the idea was to create a colorful heel version of Becky, the character didn't resonate with most fans. The over-the-top fashion choices, boastful promos, and exaggerated mannerisms made the character feel distant and inauthentic compared to the relatable The Man persona that fans loved. According to a report from Fightful Select, Becky's favorability among internal fan surveys dropped by as much as 22% within just the last 3 months of 2021. WWE tried to salvage the gimmick by putting Becky in sink or swim storylines to regain sympathy, but the results were underwhelming. Eventually, by mid-2022, WWE decided to quietly transition her back to the more familiar, the man character. Today, when WWE highlights Becky Lynch's career in video packages, they rarely mention the big-time Beck's phase, widely considered one of the biggest character misfires in her WWE history. It's clear that Becky Lynch's journey to becoming an icon was anything but smooth. From awkward gimmicks and crushing defeats in the ring to missteps in character development, Becky faced countless challenges to prove her worth. WWE has always found ways to highlight her successes, but behind the bright lights and celebrations lie some not-so-pretty truths they'd rather keep hidden. It's those failures and hard-learned lessons that shaped Becky Lynch into the resilient, fearless superstar we see today. And that's exactly why the man holds such a special place in the hearts of WWE fans around the world. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more awesome WWE content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.